Story time. So the back two of my teeth are fake. They are both root canals. Yes, my teeth are crooked. Thank you for noticing. Expecting straight teeth on people is classist, and you're just making yourself look bad, obsessing about that. Anyway, so yes, those two teeth are fake. The one closer, further away from the back, I got root canaled 3 years ago, 4 years ago, something like that. And that was with a previous dentist who did it all in one sitting. They did the root canal and they prepped the tooth, and then I got the temporary tooth, and then a couple weeks later they did the fake one. It was years ago, so I don't remember too much of the details. I just remember the thing that sucks about when I get dental stuff done is that I have a deviated septum. This nostril, watch this. I literally cannot breathe out of this nostril ever. I also tend to get a stuffed nose. My nose is somehow always either running or stuffed, or sometimes both. So anytime I'm getting a dental procedure, I'm usually like, choking. So yeah, dental procedures are not fun for me. I don't freak out or anything. I've never had to be sedated or whatever. They're just really uncomfortable. So anyway, so years ago I got that tooth taken care of. And then this tooth, the one closest to the back, I went to the dentist about 8 times so far this year, 2023. Last year we went for a dental cleaning, every 2 months or every 6 months, every 2 months, holy shit. And the dentist, who was a different dentist than I have now, was like, "Oh, there's a little cavity back there, but let's just keep an eye on it and see what happens." I was like, okay. Come back in a year later for, they take dental imaging every other visit, and he's like, "Okay, looks good." I'm like, "What about the cavity?" He's like, "What cavity?" Like, the one you told me about? He's like, "Oh." And then he looks at the x-rays again. He goes, "Oh yeah, it's pretty deep." He didn't even notice it before. Anyway, and so he did a cavity filling. I think like a week or two later, it started to get really, really, really sensitive. I made an appointment to come back in, but it was like, over the weekend or something. I think it was a holiday weekend, so it was like a week away, and it was getting more and more and more and more painful. And my tooth was also getting kind of pushed down. And so like I couldn't close my mouth or anything without it touching this tooth. And every time it touched, it was like touching, an electric fence. It was just like, ah. And I like texted the dentist and I was like, "It's really, really painful. Can you maybe prescribe something until I can get to the dentist, because it's like extremely painful?" And they were just like, "I don't take ibuprofen." Like, I've been taking, it doesn't do anything. So that was kind of irritating. Anyway, so I went in finally and got the exam, and they were just like, "Oh, the filling scratched the nerve of the tooth, so your nerve is dying. You're gonna have to go get a root canal." And I'm like, fuck. And this time they had me go to a specialist who does nothing but root canals. And of course the whole time I'm like, how much is this gonna be? And so I went and I did my consultation, and the guy was very like you could tell that he just basically did root canals all day. He was like, "Oh yeah, your nerve is dying, and the reason your tooth is pushing out is because you have an infection at the base of your tooth that's like pushing the tooth out further." So then I came back a couple weeks later, and by then basically it stopped hurting because my root was dead. So then I came back like a week or two later, and they did the root canal, and then I had to go get my tooth prepped and capped. And at that point I had been like, okay, I don't like my dentist. First of all, he was very dismissive of my pain. Second of all, he didn't notice the cavity that he himself had like noticed a year ago. So I asked around, and my neighbor recommended this other group, and so I went to this other group, and they did the prep. I remember it took at least 3 hours, and they didn't even, they only, like, the tooth was already root canaled. They just did the grinding down and everything. One thing that was exciting about the new place is that they have more technologically advanced stuff. They have some kind of scanner that like they go all around your mouth, and it makes a 3D image of your mouth, and they showed it to me. Like, it's really cool. And they use it to make a model of a tooth to match your jaw or whatever, but it was really cool. But yeah, that took forever. And then they gave me my temporary cap, and they sent the scan off to get the created the permanent tooth. And I came back for the permanent tooth, and the dentist, it's an airplane, hurry up, how are you so noisy, you're so little. Okay, good enough. So anyway, I went back to the dentist, and she put the permanent cap on, and then she said, "I don't like the way this fits. There's like a gap where they didn't do a good enough job. I'm gonna have them redo it." And I was like, how much is this going to be? And she's like, no, 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 we're only going to charge once. Like, we're not going to make you have to pay twice, even though, you know, because they messed up. And there's some geese. I'm guessing they're going south because we're going into winter. I feel like a dog squirrel. Anyway, yeah, so she was like, I don't like the way this fits. So she took the permanent one off. She put me back in a temporary one. And the temporary ones suck. Like, they feel really rough and just, yeah. And so I had to deal with that for a while. And then she sent off and she got the newly made one and put that in place. And then as far as I know, that was good. And then a few weeks ago, we went to Seattle for a family trip that we had been planning for months. Like a week before we left for Seattle, I was like, it's starting to feel like there's something stuck in there, which is basically what my first indicator was when my root canal, you know, my root was dying before. And I'm like, but there's no roots there. Like, the 2 teeth there have no roots. Like, I shouldn't have any sensation up there. And so it was getting kind of worse and worse. I actually had a tooth cleaning already scheduled for last week. But as soon as we got back from Seattle, we got COVID. So I told the dentist, like, you know, I don't want to make you guys sick. So I rescheduled for this upcoming week. And yeah, like, the feeling of it getting, feeling like there was something stuck in there was getting worse and worse. Also, I noticed, like, when I run my tongue back there, the ridge between the fake tooth and what they leave of your real tooth, because they stick it on there, feels like way more pronounced. You're not really supposed to feel a ridge so much. It's supposed to be like, you know, doo-doo, boom, boom. It feels more like it's like doo-doo. Like, I can definitely feel a ridge on both teeth, actually, which really sucks, but mostly on the one that got root canaled years ago. And then it's starting to feel also like it's getting pushed down again. And it doesn't hurt. And I would be very weirded out if it hurt because there's no nerve there. I have my exam this week. It doesn't really feel like it's stuck anymore, which is kind of freaking me out. I'm like, what is going on? It just feels like it's pushing down more. And maybe I'm just like overly, you know, paranoid or something like that. But I'm just like, I looked it up. I'm like, how many times can you get a root canaled on the same tooth? And Dr. Google says you can do it like 2 or more times. But I'm just like, I've already been to the dentist so many times this year. Why can't I have a break? And it's so infuriating because, you know, I brush and I floss 3 times a day, and yet I still have issues, and yet other people take horrible care of their teeth and they don't get any issues, and I'm just like, oh, that's not fair. So we'll see how the cleaning goes. Hopefully, you know, it's like not really anything. Maybe it's all just in my head and it's honestly fine. But if nothing else, I'm hoping that they'll reseat the caps, because I don't think the ridge is going to be supposed to be that pronounced. But, you know, maybe they're going to have to take it completely off and, like, re-root canal it and go all over again. At least the tooth is already flat. And I think they can just, like, crack the glue and take the cap off. I don't think they actually have to drill off the permanent cap. So, I don't know. Not looking forward to it. But teachers are still on strike, by the way. So kids are still home with me 24/7. And I don't know when that will end. But, yeah. Let's see how next week goes. Can't wait.